In the beginning, before the thunder spoke, the world belonged to the mothers, not gods of lightning or war, but goddesses of soil, stars, and the dark womb of night. They were worshipped in caves, in forests, in blood-soaked rituals older than language. Their names, forgotten, their faces, ground into dust by the heel of one god, Zeus. They say Zeus was born in secret on the island of Crete, hidden from his father Cronus. But that's not the whole truth. The people of Crete already had a goddess, Rhea, and shrines older than Olympus. Zeus didn't inherit worship, he took it. Where once people danced for the Great Mother, now they built temples of stone for a sky god with a beard and a thunderbolt. He replaced the primal feminine with a new masculine order. Not balance, rule. Across the Aegean, temples of Gaia, Nyx, and the Earth Mothers were buried or repurposed. Old myths were rewritten. Gaia, once revered, was now called a Titan, a lesser being. Nyx, the goddess of night, was made silent. The sacred snake, symbol of renewal, became a beast to fear. Zeus absorbed the myths he couldn't destroy. He even married his sisters to legitimize the new pantheon. This wasn't religion, it was mythological conquest. Not all gods bowed to Zeus. There were whispers of other pantheons, mountain spirits, river lords, and shadowy deities of the underworld. They resisted, some were demonized, turned into monsters in Olympian myths. Echidna, half woman, half snake, once a healing goddess. Typhon, the storm, was a god of change, recast as chaos incarnate. Their stories became warnings, not prayers. But why? Why would Zeus erase the old gods? Because they knew a truth that threatened his reign. They believed mortals and gods were once one. That divinity wasn't born from hierarchy, but from connection to nature, blood, and shadow. That belief made Olympus vulnerable. So Zeus silenced the old tongues, buried their temples, and forged the myth of divine order. Finale, the cost. But nothing truly dies in myth. Under ruins, the bones of forgotten gods still pulse with memory. Sometimes, when thunder cracks and no one speaks, you can feel it, a silence older than Olympus, older than Zeus, whispering, "I was here first." They called her the Queen of Heaven, goddess of marriage, protector of women, but beneath the crown, Hera held something deeper than pride. Vengeance, not against mortals, against the gods themselves. Before Zeus ruled the sky, before the thrones on Olympus were carved, there was Hera alone. She was worshipped in Argos, not as wife, not as queen, but as creator. Some say as a mother goddess, but that version didn't survive. Why? Because Zeus needed a consort, not a creator. And Hera's myths were rewritten. Her power stripped, her rage vilified, and her children called monsters. Do you know the name Typhon? A beast of storms. Wings like mountains, a scream that shook Olympus itself. They say he was the child of Gaia and Tartarus, but in older whispers, lost hymns, his mother was Hera, not by union, but by wrath. One day Hera looked at Zeus and spat, "You birth children without me, so shall I." No man, no touch. She summoned life from rage, from air, fire, blood, and betrayal, and Typhon rose, not as a monster, but as Hera's revenge incarnate. When Heracles was born, another son of Zeus and a mortal, Hera didn't strike him down. She did something worse. She let him grow, then she broke his mind. 12 labors were not trials of strength. They were punishments designed by a goddess who understood cruelty. Because a mother wounded becomes a weapon. Even Echidna, the so-called mother of monsters, has been linked to Hera in hidden genealogies. Another daughter born in secret, another face erased. In ancient Samos and Argos, women offered Hera not flowers, but animal bones, severed hair, and children's cries. Her statues had no smile. Her temples were silent. Because Hera didn't demand worship, she waited. For women betrayed, for queens forgotten, for wives scorned, she became a goddess of wrath, not love. Hera once had wings, feathers of storm cloud gray, symbols of her sovereignty over sky and death, but they were removed in art, in myth, in memory, because no one wants to remember the day when the goddess of marriage gave birth to chaos and watched it grow. They call Hades the end, but he is the archive. He is the guardian of memory, the keeper of gods the world chose to forget. In a world obsessed with the victorious, he shelters the defeated. And perhaps when thunder rumbles without lightning, when a dream speaks in a tongue you don't know, that is Hades reminding you, no god is ever truly gone as long as one soul remembers. Legends speak of a hall deep in the underworld beyond Lethe and Styx, where no mortal walks. There, the gods who've been erased linger, not alive, not dead, but remembered. Their whispers fill the dark like wind through old stones, and Hades walks among them, his hand on the stone walls, his steps slow. He speaks their names aloud, just so the world won't forget. Tyche, Hemera, Moros, Eurynome, names you no longer hear in temples, but he remembers. Not all gods survived Olympus. Before Zeus ever threw his thunderbolt, there were deities older than time. Goddesses of chaos and night, gods of rivers, mountains, sleep, and fate. Some were overthrown, others simply rewritten, their names lost from stories, their powers absorbed into more acceptable forms. But their essence, still pulsing, still aware, drifting like mist in the hidden corridors of the underworld. And Hades, he never turned them away. Most know Hades as the silent god of death, the one who waits beneath the earth with his helm of darkness, ruling the souls of mortals. But what if that's only part of the truth? What if deep in the underworld he watches over more than the dead? What if he guards something the Olympians chose to erase? They called him the god of light, of music, of prophecy. But what if I told you Apollo feared the very truths he once revealed? There's a reason his oracles stopped speaking, not because they lost their voices, but because he took them. In Delphi, Pythia would inhale the fumes of the earth, her body trembling, her mouth spilling riddles. Kings, warriors, and empires all bowed to her whispers. But Apollo's power didn't lie in the truth. It lay in what he chose to hide. You see, not all prophecies were meant to be heard. Some truths were dangerous even for gods. One day, an oracle, nameless in the scrolls, spoke of a child, not yet born, but destined to outshine Olympus, to kill light itself and usher in an age of silence. Apollo heard her, and in that moment he felt something he hadn't felt since the Titanomachy, fear. He told the others the oracle had gone mad, but secretly he silenced her, buried her voice beneath stone and oath. The temple was cleansed, but the words, the curse, lingered. Apollo began to doubt. Was prophecy truly a gift or a trap? Each vision he gave cost something, a life, a war, a fate unchosen, and he knew the gods could not escape their own prophecies, not even him. So he began to limit them. He shut temples, he broke seers, he rewrote myths to make himself seem merciful when all he wanted was silence. Now the oracles of Apollo are gone, but in forgotten caves old voices echo. Some say they still speak to those who dare to listen. And the prophecy? It was never truly erased, only buried beneath the ruins, and inside Apollo himself. Follow for more forbidden myths, lost truths, and the gods who tried to silence them.